A coach the other day, I said, why do you think some programs win more than others? He said, it's because they want to. And it was like simple enough. Like, now none of us probably win at the rate we want to or to the extent we want to, but it's got to be important.
Welcome to the Jamodi Podcast, where we interview coaches and leaders to find out not just what they do, but how they do what they do. Becoming the best version of ourselves is Jamodi, just a matter of doing it.
Today we're joined by head men's basketball coach of Lubbock Christian University, Todd Duncan. Coach Duncan played his college ball at Texas Tech. He had a little under 400 wins over a 15-year career as the head coach of Lubbock Trinity Christian High School. Coach Duncan has won 175 games in his 11 years at LCU. He has led the team to 3 NCAA South Central regional appearances in 6 years of postseason eligibility at the D2 level. Also a Lone Star Conference championship in the 2020-21 season and 4 top 4 finishes in 6 seasons in the Heartland Conference. Before we hear from Coach, take a moment to subscribe to our podcast and follow us on social media at Jamodi Podcast.
Man, thank you so much for coming on and giving up your time this morning.
Yeah, I'm glad to be on with you and appreciate you having me. I'll always enjoy talking basketball, especially somebody like kind of a hoop junkie like me.
Yeah, and especially the ideas of shooting and the way you guys play, like you were definitely high up on my list of guys to talk to when I thought about doing this. So
cool. Thank you.
What are the non-negotiables in your program?
Yeah, it's a great question. The things that I think about are more standards. You think of a rule list, and maybe early in my coaching career, I would have had a bunch of rules. And then you just find out managing those things, you're kind of painting yourself in a corner sometimes. And there's a lot of gray in life. And sometimes you might need to make one decision for one kid. I always say we want to be fair, but maybe not equal. And so if your team trusts you, if the parents, if you're a high school coach, if they trust you, then they just have to know that you've gathered all the information. And when you make a decision, it's based on what's best, not just for that kid, but for the program at large. And so when I had those rules, I felt like maybe I was, there's just so many rules. How many can what you leave one off, invariably, that's the one they're going to break.
Right.
It's not down here in your binder of rules. So I just said, we're going to have standards. I think that's kind of a buzzword, and maybe gone back a while where, this is the everyday process of how we want to do things. Is how we look at it. And early on, we're probably having to disseminate that to the guys. But now that our program is more established, we see that the older guys are teaching the younger guys. And we're putting it on them like, we shouldn't have to explain this to this kid. This is where you guys in this locker room, your leadership, your influence comes in. When we're on the court, obviously eye contact, being on time. We want our guys suited up and on the floor 15 minutes before practice starts. So we might have the clock there. That can be a challenge if you're a high school coach, but we're just like, let's be productive in this time leading up to practice. So they know what our expectations are there. Sprint the court. If anybody's jogging, they come and sit by me. If somebody watches on a block out, they're going to sit by us. We call it a one-man press. Somebody misses a shot and kind of runs up, has a little extra energy because they're frustrated and, tries to harass the ball, but really they're just leaving their teammates hanging out to dry. So those are things. We really preach playing on balance. And when I say a non-negotiable, like if someone's not doing it, they're probably getting talked to or coming out. And so we're just like, these are the things we're not going to sit here and negotiate with you on. So obviously being on balance is huge.
Can you talk a little bit more about that, being on balance and how you help your players get that more?
Well, obviously just communicating it verbally, showing clips of off balance. We just tell them bad players fall down. Bad players put their teammates in bad situations. And we'll show them clips of that, like you're off balance. If you just stopped right here and made a stride step, an on balance jump stop, look at all the options that are open around you. And you're taking a 20% shot when we've got 50% shots inside out right there available. And no matter how much a team teaches people to stay on shooters or don't leave, when the ball penetrates the 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 dome or the pack or the lane, the the people are open on the perimeter. I know how
Yeah.
you guys you're probably emphasizing that a lot. So one thing we did this year is we charted every shot that our guys took and we categorized it. And that can be a little challenge, but on balance layups percentage were like 65, off balance were 19%. So it's like, why are we even having a category of this? We need to get to where there's no off balance shots to even show you. We have one or two players where we're like, this is not a bad shot for them. It may seem off balance for them, but they're a little unorthodox in their game, and they've proven that it's not a low percentage for them. But the other guys, it's not the best shot. We work on layups a lot. We work on driving in, and we just kind of like, you're coming up on an intersection, you got to slow down. The traffic is coming. The light may be about to change. Just, it's decision time. So you've done a great job getting here. We say get engaged, don't get married.
Yeah.
I'm not sure where I got that, maybe from Point Guard College or.
That's exactly it. Yep.
Yeah. So it's a great, it always gets a chuckle the first time, but everybody knows. And we had a kid who was going home for the summer. He lives in Australia. He's going to play there. He's like, Coach, I know if you watch me, you're going to be yelling, be on balance through the computer. So that message is slowly getting across. I heard Jay Wright at Villanova. If one of his guys is off balance, it's the thing that drives him nuts. That he'll go off on the most. And that'd be a non-negotiable, I guess, for their program. Obviously, when you watch them play and knowing that, it's amazing. Those guys, the Brunson back down, some of those things, incorporated that terminology into how we play. It just helps you make decisions. You got to be really a dynamic athlete and great decision maker to leave your feet and make the right play.
Yeah, a lot of times you're doing things based on hope. Like, I hope this works out, and great players don't base their game on hope.
Yeah, it's a great point. So for sure, and we do some drills. We call it Villanova. It's a little 3-on-0 drive kick game where we're on balance. We'll do it off one pass, two pass. Then we'll do shot fake at the beginning, shot fake at the end. So simple, so fundamental, but you just have to emphasize these things over and over, and you can never really assume that it's stuck. Is what first day, last day. There's some ways we try to do it. We might make a shooting drill out of it or something, but we're really trying to just emphasize this consistent message of, this is how we want to play. This is what we want you to do. And players always at whatever level probably feel like you're messing with their game. Even going back to when I played now as a coach, you just know that. Like, they're all going to the NBA, and if you just pull back and let me show everybody what I can do, then – but just building that trust and showing them, like, look at Villanova. Watch this game. Watch this kid from this other team. Look how he's out of control. We'll even show them some pros. Like, as great as this player is, if he was more on balance, I just remember Doc Rivers saying when Rondo came to Celtics, they worked with him on his left hand. And I was like, here's a first-round draft pick, played at Kentucky, and they're breaking it down. Like, we just assume that, okay, you get to a level, those things are maybe elementary to that level, but they're still foundational. I heard Phil Jackson say when he was with the Bulls, if you came to a practice, you'd be bored in about 5 minutes. So I think that's what I've learned through the years is just basketball. Some of the drills we do in camp might be being done at NBA training camp. They're so simple, but they're just the fundamentals are the fundamentals. So we continue to emphasize that. Eye contact when you're talking. We say listen with your eyes. Always communicate. We start practice with some form of drill that's going to cause them to communicate. We try to make things game relevant, but there's some drills that are just good because there's a lot going on, and they got to have their head on a swivel. They got to be talking, and they got to be paying attention. A great way to get the concentration level up high to begin practice. So those are things I would say on the floor. Off the floor, it's just go to class, be on time, treat others kindly. Just hold this standard. We have we're a Christian school. I go with Colossians 3:23. Whatever you do your work heartily under the Lord is not for man. So, hey, 3:23. Let's give our best. Was this your best? If this grade in this class is your best, I can live with it. If you could have done better, then we have to evaluate why you did. Is that your best effort? Could you have done this a little better? Are you truly doing everything you could have done there? And when you ask it that way, a kid doesn't want to. They might want to maybe deceive you a little, but really, you're complimenting them by going, "I believe you could be better."
Mm.
If that's your best, then we've got another challenge we got to deal with. But are you giving me your best? And sometimes my best is not. It can waver on my energy level or what's going on outside the confines of the office with family or friends, or just, life gets in the way of some things. So we're not always going to perform at our best, but we can always give our best.
Mm.
And just trying to control that to the extent we can is something we emphasize.
I love the fact that you ask the question, is that your best? Instead of just telling them, hey, that's not it. You can do better. What is it about asking that question that maybe helps them even get to the answer or see it even more?
Well, I think you're saying I trust you enough to ask you, maybe because the kids. It's a fine line. Like, I don't want to be making an excuse, coach, but I found out today this or that, or I just got off the phone with somebody back home and something's going on, or man, I think I just bombed that test, coach, and I studied it, whatever for it, and I'm struggling there. I'm disappointed. There's just 1,000 things. I think it's that trust.
Mm-hmm.
We just really try to build the relationship as deep as we can. And I just call it making deposits, so when we have to make a withdrawal, we're not in the red on the account because, they understand that we trust them. And I tell them, if you have a uniform and you're in this locker room, I don't think I could pay you a higher compliment. That I've let you into our family. We believe in you. We depend on you. We need you. We want you. We're excited you're here. Now you have a role to play in this too. But also know we're all human in here. We all have life outside these doors. So we all want to perform. This basketball area can be a safe place and escape. For me, that's what it is. Sometimes I'm on that court, kind of everything else dissolves a little bit and, just get locked in. What a great place to be and a safe place to be. And I want that to be for our guys. But I just think if they feel like they have a voice, the old my way or the highway, like the non-negotiables, there are things we're not going to sit here and discuss. But there's a lot of things like I can learn from you. I can sympathize with you. I can empathize with you. But I can't read your mind. I need you to tell me. Otherwise, our minds fill in the gap. Well, I bet he stayed up all night. I bet he was playing video games. I bet he didn't eat breakfast. I bet this. I bet that. And it may be true, but it may not be. And we're kind of really not giving them the benefit of the doubt. And so, like I tell them, I'm going to trust you to start. I'm just going to give you that trust. But then trust is also earned. And just be an everyday guy. Be a day in, day out guy we can count on. And that's what your life's going to be after basketball. And then it's not, you get to play basketball. It's like work starts at 8. You got to get the kids ready, probably like your day this morning or mine, like it's life.
Yeah.
And this is great proving ground. And we get to have a ball in our hands while we do it. And so, like, just that perspective of just seeing it from everybody's perspective and also being grateful. I just think it lends itself to a better performance because, they always say, like, guys have to play good to feel good. Girls got to feel good to play good. I've talked to some female coaches of girls that have said that. But we're all human beings. Like, I get that answer, but I think sometimes even with the guys, like, let's help them feel good to play good. Let's don't reverse it out either. And I think if we just all have a coach who believes in us, even if they're not a starting or taking all the shots, they just know, like, this person believes in me. And sometimes I even take it for granted that, like I said, hey, you got a uniform on, right? What else do I need to tell you? But sometimes they need that, just because in basketball, they still have these other areas that they need to be built up in. And so basketball is just kind of the introductory to all these other facets of their life, which are going to carry them much further.
I love the fact that you said, early on you had a list of rules that you thought you wanted to stick to and everything, but kind of how it put you in a box. I remember listening at TABC to Bob Hurley Sr., and he had his list of 18 or 19 rules. And maybe it's because of the group that the clientele that he's working with there, that he needed all of those. But then I I think I've heard more coaches think along the same lines as you, as we want to have standards that we live by, but the ability to be flexible and to make choices depending on that individual situation.
Yeah, no doubt. And I got a great point from him in his talk. He had like a social media curfew, which I thought was great. And that would fall under some things we might tell our guys, like, hey, I see you're on here late at night. That's just not bringing out the best in you. What you're putting in your mind, your body, etc. But yeah, I agree on the rules and keep it simple. Roy Williams, when he was introduced at North Carolina, some of the guys that were coming back were there, and he said, "I just have one rule: do what I ask you to do, and do it to the best of your ability." Sums it up.
There it is.
Hey, one of the top programs, best coaches, keeping it simple. Let's learn from him.
The Jamodi podcast is powered by Sideline Interactive. Sideline Interactive is the leading manufacturer for high-quality, innovative scoring tables and LED video display boards that help coaches and schools bring more excitement to fans, create huge fundraising opportunities, and make their jobs easier. Visit sidelineinteractive.com to check out their amazing products. How do you teach shooting in your program?
Yeah, we work on it constantly. I believe you can change a person's shot. I believe not major reconstruction. Probably we're not recruiting them if it requires that. But there are some players, they just have a skill set that's worth what they do other than shooting is good enough that you're willing to
Sean
take.
Marion.
Yeah.
Sean Marion right there.
No doubt. Dennis Rodman.
Yeah.
Where he wasn't a shooter. Obviously, Marion was capable and a good shooter. But the unorthodox, I don't know at that level if I would it's worked pretty well for him. I don't know that I would fit. But I do believe it's muscle memory. And so I think shooting is the most worked on skill and probably the least developed. Everyone goes in the gym, they pick up a ball and they start shooting. There might be some ball handling here and there, maybe some passing, but by and large, they're shooting. And yet, to me, they're either developing good habits or they're reinforcing bad ones. And so I just want our guys, when they go in the gym, to evaluate the quality of shot they're taking. I don't think there should be casual shooting, because I think it's one, concentration so big in the shots that you take and just being locked in on it. I've never been the type guy, when I shoot, I want to make every shot. It's not I made 8 of 9. I wanted to make number 9 too. I'm more disappointed on a miss than I am sitting there jubilant over all the makes. One thing when I was still playing, Joey Wright, a former player at University of Texas, he had just been cut by the Phoenix Suns. He came to play on our team, and I had played against him when I was at Tech, but I didn't really know him. And it was the year Kevin Johnson had been drafted to the Suns. Jeff Hornacek was going from point guard to shooting guard, and I always thought Hornacek was a great shooter, but he was having to develop his shooting because he was a guard coming in. And he was doing this drill every day, and he had showed Joey, and then Joey showed it to me, and it's so simple that you just take 5 form shots from 7 spots, and these are about 15-footers. You start on you're just in a perfect textbook stance, elbow in, follow through, guide hand, etc. And you just come up on your toes. You don't leave your feet. You hold your follow through for 1 or 2 seconds. And you're going to shoot 10 at the foul line. So the 7 spots with 10 being the foul line equal 40 shots. And you just chart how many you make, 35, 36, whatever your improvement is. And then you can move it back to the 3, and you're still not jumping. So it's requiring all these muscles in your body to fire at the same time. From the tips of your toes to the end of your follow through, you are inviting your whole body to be engaged in the shot. And it forces you to be on balance because you have to stay on your toes. And, kids will think there's no way I can do it from 3. And then they get to where they can. And then you might back them up. And it's one of those drills, it's okay to fail out at beginning, because sometimes you got to take a step or 2 back to then make the progress forward. But we just call it Phoenix Suns, and we'll do that a lot. And it's just muscle memory. And I remember Joey, when he got there, he and I would go work out, and he was like, "Let's do this Hornacek drill." And I was just like, man, my shot, it's consistent, it's grooved, it feels great. And And my range, we were playing with the NBA 3 then. We were in the Global Basketball Association way back then when it was kind of competing with the Continental Basketball Association, which nowadays would be the G League. But there was a lot of really good players. And man, Joey Wright had just come from the NBA. I was like, let me do this. So I did it every day. And I just thought it was a huge contributor to my shooting. And I felt like I was a good shooter up till then. But I never remember anyone saying, like, hold your follow through. It was just kind of the beef, balance, elbow, eyes, follow through. But no one had really broken it down beyond that. And I do think, kind of like a golf swing or something, you can get somebody so in their own head they can't even do it. But I also think that it's good to, like, these are the parameters. So I would just say a straight shot's a great shot. We just want to finish with a 1 second follow through. And then just make a quick inventory. Did I miss right, left, long, or short? And let's make an adjustment. It starts with the feet. We say fight for your feet. When the ball's in your hands, your feet need to be on the ground, or the feet are in the air ready to come down right into a quick, we call it square in the air. And I used to be square in the air or bust, but I've kind of, now it's whatever the player feels more comfortable with. I just don't want to travel. And that just goes back to our basketball philosophy at large. Let's don't beat ourselves. Let's turnovers. We're like, we've led our league the last few years in fewest turnovers. We're first in the nation, I think, assist to turnover ratio this year. So I feel like some of those Villanova passing footwork, I think that's helping. I travels, and Joey Wright told me this when Tom Penners was at Texas. They kind of, the big jump stop. I don't know if you remember that. I know you're a little younger than me, but it was like Travis Mays, Joey Wright, Lance Blanks, and they were just going in there making these huge power jump stops. And he said, yeah, if you travel, Coach Penders goes nuts. That's the one thing stand is a travel. And so, therefore his guys didn't travel. I mean, it's what you emphasize, right? And then I think a quick release. I always just tell guys, like, a shot is the same if you're in the gym by yourself or 2 seconds left and you're highly contested if you're locked in on the target. And so have a quick release, because then it comes down to, why are you open? Why are you not? How quickly can you get it off? And, like a Steph Curry, he doesn't always hold his follow through, but these are like the high level guys.
Yeah, you got to be careful how you mirror yourself off of the outliers of the outliers. Yeah,
no doubt. So to me, it's like follow through, 1 second, that's the muscle memory. The ball's going straight. Even if everything else is jacked up, you've at least finished well on your shot, and then we can maybe break it down from there. Shot selection's huge. We talk about that all the time. We shoot a ton in practice, but they're game shots. They're coming off screens. They're coming off the dribble. They're driving and kick. We're trying to incorporate the shots we're going to get in our offense onto the floor. And so, I think most programs would say that's what they're doing, but we're doing it every day, and we're competing at it. And we're doing things like we might have to make 3 in a row for one to count. So guys are like, you're not just getting up 20 minutes of shots, but they're 20 minutes of quality reps. And there's pressure because if you miss 3 in a row, it's a negative one.
Oh, so, I like that.
Yeah. So it keeps the drill. And then we might say we're going +5, -2. So if we get to -2, we might have a down and back, or we call it a 12, just 2 trips sideways in 12 seconds. Just something to keep us locked in. It's not a big punishment, but a little bit of a reminder, like, come on, let's go. And, we had a really good year shooting the ball. I mean, some of that's recruiting, obviously, but I do think a lot of it is the skill and the things we put into it. And we're always telling, like, I'll text the guys, the gym's open these times today. And we have charts on the table where we have some drills that are probably about 7 or 8 drills. They take about 2 minutes each. And we're charting it, and we'll post it like, you're 10th in this drill. You're the 10th best shooter. Of course, you're appealing to their ego, their pride, and their competitive spirit a little bit to see where they are in that. And then we'll set program records, like, this is the program record. And
for the different games or drills that you do. Yeah.
So guys kind of like, I'm going to break that record. And so it's cool to just see those guys they want to be in the gym. While they're in there, they're concentrating. And they're not asking them to be in there all day. And we're not use the gun some, but not a ton. I think there's value in chasing your rebound, bringing it back out, making a move, getting a shot. Just when you're not casual shooting, but when you're just shooting and maybe not doing real, the gun's a great resource, but being careful how much we use it. And sometimes you just shoot, the next one's there and you haven't really evaluated. You didn't have to down that miss. You didn't have to dribble it back, get reorganized, start, whatever the process may be. So I think there's pros and cons to some of that.
I think the gun obviously there's a time for volume where you need to get up a large volume of shots. But the danger is, like you said, if you're not evaluating, or if you have habits like offhand interference, that is just making it come out differently. You're a two-hand shooter, not a true one-hand shooter. Then you're getting volume up at the wrong things and reinforcing those bad habits.
Agree 100%. Yeah, I just say you're getting better at being bad.
Coach, there's so much gold. I love that. I'm going to definitely steal the Phoenix shooting. One thing I was wondering about that, because I was actually just playing pig with one of my players a second ago, and I do a 3-point, you can't jump shot, but it just to demonstrate upper body, because a lot of your shot is your upper body, especially the older you get. But when I'm doing it, I feel like, so when I played, it was more of a jump shot. I'm jumping off the ground. I'm finishing up really high. But then when I do that, I feel like I go back to more of my set shot from my shoulder pushing through. When you're doing Hornets, like guys that are true jump shooters, do you see any difference with that game and maybe forcing them to shoot differently?
I haven't really thought of it that way. I do think like I always think, if I get to here, it's going.
Yeah.
So whether I bring it up slow motion or it's off the dribble, I do think you're getting it to that pocket.
Mm-hmm.
George Lehman's an old school guy that I kind of grew up back before there was all this instructional video and all the things, the resources we have now, which was good because it necessarily didn't clutter my mind and it gave me some debates. He was awesome in terms of, he was motivating. He was talking quick release. But he taught the one shot, the one motion method, like from here all the way up, there's really no pause. We kind of that catapult. Like we don't catapult it, shot put it. We're kind of just one motion all the way through. But I do think there is a slight little, like a lag or just, it's minute.
It is.
That's there on that to get your follow through. And it kind of just gets your ball to your shooting pocket or whatever. And that may be more off the dribble, where if I catch a pass, I'm just right into it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why maybe, when you miss on a gun, you're chasing it down, you're getting some off the dribble reps and things like that. So I think, I don't know if there's one way to shoot or not. I hear people talking and it gets my mind thinking on it. I'm kind of sold on this way. Just because personally for me, I feel like shooting is a skill anybody can develop. We might not can teach somebody to do something that requires great athleticism, or I think it's a skill. It can be developed.
Yeah.
And something that, now you got to figure out how to get it off, and you still got to play D, make passes. You still got to have these other tools in your belt. But shooting is a skill that I think anyone, if they're willing to spend the time, can get better at it. So we have a phrase, we just call it get lonely. Just get lonely. It's got to be you and the ball. If your phone's over there buzzing every 5 seconds, I don't mind if you have music playing, but I just like, there's something about hearing the switch, the ball, boom, 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 making a quick move, shot, chase it. I just think that's where the freedom, the imagination, you're just picturing yourself in all these scenarios in your mind as you're just in the flow out there. And now 10 minutes, 20 minutes turns into an hour and you really don't even want to leave.
Yeah.
Because you're locked in on what you're doing. So some good stuff just on how to get better on your own. That's the great thing about basketball. You get a ball. I mean, even if it's just ball handling, the driveway, the kitchen, the living room. And I said, when COVID happened, I said, this is going to
separate. Yeah.
Are you a basketball player? Or are you a person who plays basketball? A big difference.
I saw that post. I think you tweeted that. That's really stuck with me. And I think, the separation that happened during that spring and summer when guys just weren't being able to they weren't being told what to do. There wasn't structure. And what's funny about what you said, I think that's what we kind of, after you're done playing, you miss the most, is you miss the ability just to get in the gym by yourself. I mean, Ray Allen said the path to becoming a great shooter is a lonely one, but that you fall in love with that. And as you get older, like I don't spend time working on my shot, but I miss that time for sure.
Yeah, I 100% resonate with that. Just being alone in the gym. Even now, if I'm here early or staying late, no one's around, I'll just get a ball and just kind of takes you back to we used to just be driving down, see a guy at a park and pull over. Do you want to play 1-on-1? Go 2-on-2. Like it didn't matter if it was concrete, rubber ball. It'd be nice net. But other than that, well, let's hoop. We just if you love the hoop, you love the hoop.
I'm sure you can still shoot it though. I'm sure you can still shoot it pretty well.
Yeah, just pride doesn't. I just don't want to ever I won't shoot if I don't think I can shoot. Hurt my feelings too bad.
I think this question kind of goes off of all the skill development that you do, especially with shooting, but how does individual skill work into your daily practice?
Yeah, we try to keep what we do as a team, offensively, defensively, simple so that we can spend most of our time on the skill development. Some of those passing, shooting drills that we talked about, obviously working to that. I think footwork's a big deal, both ends of the court. And then I would just say just the dribbling, burst pressure, trying to make decisions. Again, we're big on no turnovers. And every coach is going to say that. But we're like shooting turnovers, bad shots, a shooting turnover to us, and then just the obvious turnovers, because that's how you lose games in transition. Our league is going to come down to a possession or two every game, and a special season and an average season are really defined by those few possessions. So we're just starting off like really emphasizing that. But just handling the ball versus pressure, I think that's one of, if you can shoot and you can handle it versus pressure, there's probably a spot for you on the court. And so just that handle is another thing. If you're tight with your game, then you're going to be able to find a place to get on the floor. Being able to pass with either hand, being on balance, can really just keep you from maybe take away. If you don't have great athleticism, some of those just decisions. Some of the best players were not the best athletes. Obviously, Michael Jordan, LeBron, Kobe, the list goes on and on. But a Tim Duncan, even, he's had great length and size. That just meant the big fundamental or whatever he was his nickname, So I just think skill's a divider was something we used to say when we were growing up, is like most things are equal. Skill is the divider.
Yeah.
Shooting, handling, dribbling. And we'll even do some off the floor drills that kind of not in vogue anymore, just to get our hands on the ball, build up, get us moving, force us to concentrate a little bit. And I just think there's a lot of ways to just get going and develop some skill in your practices.
I think guys like me and you benefit from the fact that basketball isn't all athleticism. If it was, then we'd be near the bottom. But I've always thought that for players, your skill can help you to leapfrog or jump up to a level that your athleticism really isn't there.
No doubt. And then your basketball IQ, or just and that's where just the love for the game comes in, because you're always watching like what happened here, what should have happened here, game management, just being a coach on the floor. Just think and that may be something that could be really gleaned from this modern basketball where they're playing all these games, as if winning mattered more, than these things would be accentuated more in the players' minds. But I think the opposite has sometimes happened, is we lost, we play again at 3, get something to eat, and we'll be back. And like losing hurt.
Yeah.
And maybe more than it should, but it hurt. And like, we don't want to lose again. And, if you want to get picked up to get in the next pickup game, you better bring value to the court, or you're going to just sit over there until until you're the guy picking the team. So playing with older guys, understanding like what a good shot is, or don't let your man score, you better not turn it over with the game on the line. You're learning and getting incredible value that you can't necessarily get with a trainer or on the, just in a AAU game if you're not competing. So
Yeah.
again, it goes back to Colossians 3:23. Just whatever we do, let's do it with our whole heart. Let's give great effort. It just makes me literally sick to my stomach to watch basketball be played where I do not feel like the guys are competing, regardless of the level.
Yeah.
Like you said, you're playing that kid in pig today. You probably tried to win, and
I'm not gonna. I'm gonna pull out every trick I
yeah.
have to make sure, no doubt.
And if we're losing, well, it's time to go to class. We got the bell.
Hey, sorry.
It's just how we got to roll,
That's right. Well, yeah.
The competitive spirit, and maybe some people have it more than others. It's been hard to know. But once you invest, I do think it goes back to if you've invested, then the outcome is going to matter more. So how do we get our guys to fall in love with basketball so that we love it? And there's always going to be that friction and the gap between how much we love it and how much they love it. And boy, you get to coach a kid who loves it like you, it's special. You just appreciate it so much. But most of the time we're coaching kids who don't love it as much. So one, we need to bring them closer to us because we can balance how we are, but I don't think we need to be going to them. They need to come to us. And so we need to put them in situations where we're like, see this goal you set and reach. Look how much better you're doing. Look on this clip how you did what we worked on, and just get them excited about learning and getting growing and improving. And then when they're not with us, those things stay with them. And then the larger picture comes a little more clearer to them as well.
Man, thank you for sharing that. I love the way you put it to where I felt that friction over the years, that knowing that the way I view the game and view the game as a player and seeing them and wanting them to get to that level, but like you said, though, about getting them, moving them along and bringing them to us but it just made me feel good knowing that you feel that same way too. And, because sometimes I think as coaches, we feel like we might be the only ones that think that way or feel that way, but that's great. Hey, going back to the skill work and practice, if you could, I know it's going to be different almost every day, but what would the percentage be from skill-based individually or within actions to team-based work? What would that percentage be average?
Probably 60-40, with 40 being the skill, 60 probably being 1-on-1, 3-on-3, 5-on-5. Because I do think it's important to see how this works into the whole. And then, what we're doing, we're still working on it. We'll even do if somebody doesn't set a screen or somebody's off balance or somebody didn't block out, we might send them to the other end and work on it while we continue 5-on-5. So you're emphasizing it's still even in the middle of the 5-on-5, unless we're going full. But if it's a half court, we're going to put them on the other end and have them work on whatever said skill is. And then they come back to the group. Obviously, the group that stayed is aware that this kid's down there doing this. It just enhances. We call it circle the wagons. Like, okay, let's circle the wagons. Go down there, do whatever. I want you to go 10 on balance layups or 10 on balance driving kicks or 10 finishes at the rim. Hold your follow through, 10 straight shots. Block this guy.
And it's not a punishment. It's not a punishment. It's helping them to do what you want them to do and be more successful.
Yeah, to me, a punishment is something that's unrelated to the skill. Like, you miss class, we're going to make up class, but you're also going to come in here and meet this bike or this treadmill or this rowing machine. But you didn't block out. We could run you, but we want you getting better at blocking out and remembering to block out or holding your follow through. Or, I probably back in the old days would have just said, get on the line. And I don't know what the carryover is. So there's probably some, but it's minimal, and you're wasting everybody else's time. And no one really enjoys doing that, including the coach who made you do it. So why are we doing it?
And it's more of we wanted it to be intrinsic, where they want to do that skill and get better at it, where extrinsic is, if I don't do that skill, I'll be on the line. And you're right. There's only so little you can get the payoff there. Yeah.
And I think, if after a while this kid's needing another method, you might have to go to that. But I think most kids, by and large, they want to please the coach. Rarely is there a kid, that does they love basketball too. We're trying to get them to love it like we think we do, but
Yeah.
by and large, they want to please you and they want to be good.
Mhm.
They want to do well. So yeah, we're just really trying to help the kid, which helps the team, which helps us all moving forward.
Coaches, the Jamodi podcast is powered by Biology. What's your BSA score? The Biology Skill Assessment is the only verified skills metric endorsed by the NIA and NJCAA to discover and develop the best talent for your team. This 10-minute, 100-shot test can be taken for free today on the Biology mobile app. Elevate your game. What are the off-season expectations for your players?
Simply get in the gym, get in the weight room. Specifically, we're, going over like what does that look like when we meet with our guys. We tell them to come in and tell us their goals and tell us their plan to reach those goals. So it's not just I want to get better. It's said goal is something specific, and we're able to measure it. And then they're telling us, this is my plan. I'm going to be back home these next 3 weeks. I've got this gym I'm going to go to. My plan is to be up at this time, going there. And then we just have some accountability. So, I was going to call you at 10, but I knew you'd be at the gym. So, I called you a little later. Did you go today? Otherwise, we have these expectations and lofty, ambitious goals, and we really end up striking out on most of them. So be as specific as we can, as intentional as we can, because they're great when they have that accountability and that's something on their schedule they have to be at. Now they're left to themselves. We want them, taking ownership and being responsible, but also knowing like you're going to be joining the team later, and we want to be able to see some improvement. So that would be a couple of things. I'm sorry if I interrupted your next question.
No, you're good.
One thing that we have them do is we have them work our summer camps, because I think when you're teaching someone else, you are improving without even knowing it. I just remember I'd teach shooting, and I may not shoot. I might shoot 1,000 shots that day, but none of them were like competitive because I'm just showing kids how to shoot or teaching them something. And then my form is just so much better, or keep your eyes, whatever the skill is when you're working a camp. And I think they're learning like it's not easy to coach. It takes some demanding, some accountability, a little bit of discipline. Every summer it's inevitable. A kid will come up to me and say, "Man, coach, these kids don't listen."
And you're like, yes.
Really? That makes you feel surprised. So yeah, for sure. I just think you're putting them in that other role. Just like if they had to officiate a summer league game, they'd be like, "Man, officiating ain't that easy. Maybe you need to be a little lax on these guys who don't get it right every time like we think they should." You're just putting them in other situations to grow. When we play pickup games, when they're on campus, they're organized. We play a certain way that we put out there. We play to 11 twos and ones. It's make it, take it. You're not getting a stop. You're not going to the other end. So we still get
full court, make it, take it.
Yeah. So like if we're playing and we scored, we'd stop and we'd take it out at that end. We wouldn't throw it in and go back the other way.
Oh, okay.
If you get beat 7-0, you're done. It's a skunk. So you're going to have to get a stop. And sometimes we've confirmed it where, the game points, you got to hit a free throw or something to confirm the win. If you miss, it goes back to what the score was before. So you're giving them a pressure free throw situation. It depends how many guys are waiting out, et cetera. Great way to play is 4-on-4, full court to 2 baskets. Loser stays. Because now they're learning shot selection, value the ball, effort, everything. And they're all involved. They're all getting to touch it. So, you want to win and keep the court in most pickup games. And this one, like, we win, we get a break, we're coming back fresh. This team that just lost is still out here. And I've seen when teams get tireder, they get a lot smarter. Because now they're having to be strategic about which shot.
Focus. Yeah.
Then they'll start saying, that's not a good shot. They'll start policing themselves a little bit on it. I think one-on-one's great too, because there's no place to hide. Everybody wants to win in that one-on-one battle. So
I love that idea of the make it, take it, and pick up. And the way that we play at Faith is it's Divenzio rules from PGC. We don't play with out of bounds, but or when it does go out of bounds, it's automatically defensive ball.
we do that
So
as well.
there's no touch. But on a made bucket, we don't throw it in. Whoever on defense gets it out of the net is pushing it. So it creates more speed. But what do you think about when we score, somebody on our team grabbing it and going back that other way? So the defensive team is now transitioning back again in defense. It could get nuts, but I don't know. I might experiment with that.
Yeah, and if you do that, we've done that we call it 3-on-3. I think we call it 3-on-3 speed, but we'll just play make it, take it, or we'll alternate depending on what we want to emphasize. Where the ball goes out, you kick it quick to the 3, and we're back playing again. So there's no lag.
Like FIBA rules, or the 3-on-3, 3-on-3 rules, yeah.
We used to play a lot of hoop it ups when I was playing.
Nice.
I just love that. The 3-on-3, everybody's engaged, everybody's getting to touch the ball.
I wish hoop it ups were still around and still a big thing. That was awesome.
Yeah, we loved it. We would plan our summer around going to those things. But again, it's competitive, and there's not necessarily a consequence for losing, but you're wanting to be on the floor. And then on the 4-on-4 drill, if you lose, you're staying. So now you're wanting to get off.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a 2 baskets, so I teach a lot of things that we value, and I think every team should value, honestly. So yeah, that's the expectations for the off season. Get in the gym, let's compete.
For advice for high school coaches, that because I think we all try to have good off-season plans for our guys, but we're dealing with a wide range of players, the ones that do have aspirations to play in college, all the way down to the ones that, I just like it. I want to be a part of the team. I want to be with, but you want them all to be motivated and things. But then there's the idea too of, well, they see me every day for 187 days. They need a break from me. So what's that balance for high school coaches, you think, with setting up an off season or summer program?
I think if you can bring someone in that is a similar voice, but a different one who may say what you're saying, because obviously you want to keep the method and the message consistent with what you're doing, but it might just be somebody different. The expert is the average guy from 50 miles away, or they might get attuned to your voice and maybe miss some of the nuggets that you have, and where you might be going off to someone else and you're leading clinics and you're the expert, and they're gravitating on every word you're saying. Like it's just human nature to be that way. I would just be real intentional about who it is. Sometimes, we see these summer leagues or we'll go watch and it's just some guy over there who's disinterested. He's not holding the kids accountable. It's tough to coach a team that you don't practice,
mm-hmm.
Or you got a kid on the team. So they don't want to, all my friends, all my son's friends are going to be mad at me. And so a lot of dynamics that seem good in terms of they get a break from me, I get a break from them. But I also think, like, what better person to work with them than their head coach?
Mm-hmm.
So, I think you can pull back. You can maybe, maybe I think there's enough opportunities for them to do both, for them to go play, to be on a club, and you still take advantage of who you are and what you can give to those kids. And I think if we dilute it too much, we're more, the lowest common denominator is winning out instead of the highest common denominator. And it's okay if this kid doesn't want to play in college, but he does want to play in high school. So we're trying to win state. We're trying to win our district. Whatever our goals are, we're still trying to be our best. So it's going to take investment. It's going to take time. It's going to take a commitment, because we're a rising tide, raises all the boats or whatever. Like we're only strong as our weakest link, whatever analogy. Like we need everybody lifting this group up, and we all get better if you get better, and communicating that message, which gets them closer to kind of our side of the table on loving basketball. But I do think there's opportunities when kids can go off and really compete at a high level. They see that, and there's a lot of good players out here. I got to play against this guy. I did well, or, I got exposed. I got a I
Get
got to
back
be
to
better.
work.
So I think there's balance in that. But I wouldn't shift the pendulum too far to where I just pulled my hands back,
Mm,
because that's danger and all this investment of time. And now you're starting over. Like, you don't want to start where you were at the end of May in August. You want to build on, hopefully they're advancing the ball through this time and you're making progress. And I always felt like when I coached high school, I had 4 seasons. We had our regular season, with the spring season, the summer season, and then the fall season. And I felt like if we could get enough games in there, we were probably getting 2 extra basketball seasons
mm,
in addition to our regular season. And so I felt like while everybody else is off doing other things, we're catching up or passing the group, wherever we're at on that continuum is we're maximizing who we are. And I see that in your program and just the things that you're promoting. So I think you probably are doing that. But I know coaches, they beat their kids to the parking lot. The gym's over, and like you got to be there. It's an investment in
yeah.
time. I know the rules. You might not can be out there with them all the time, but you got to be investing in these kids. Again, how much do you love it, Coach? What do you want for your program? The old Don Meyer, make the big time where you are. Like, we can all look, if this program's better, I wish I had that. And we all could make a list of what we want or need. But the truth is, we do, we took this job. No one put a gun to our head. We accepted it with the conditions it's in. Now it's our job to make it better.
Mm,
And yeah, if we just, run into roadblocks and can't do it, then maybe you have to change. But we can't just blame it on the kids or blame it on someone else. Get in the gym, figure it out, find a way, make basketball important. A coach the other day, I said, why do you think some programs win more than others? He said, you want to know why the programs win? I said, sure. He goes, it's because they want to. And it was like simple enough. Like, now none of us probably win at the rate we want to or to the extent we want to, but it's got to be important. We do what we do so that we will win. I mean, yes, there are it's not just the winning, it's all that comes with that. But when that scoreboard's on and that ball is tossed, we're playing to win. So all these little side things that we're doing, the weights, the early mornings, the road trips, the summer tournaments, the film sessions, the one-on-ones in the office, are to win. And so we have to keep that in mind in everything we're doing, that this is going to come out in the competition. And how do we want to perform? What do we want it to look like? Because that's what we're doing now is going to affect that. The reaping and sowing, as simple as it can be.
How do you handle defeat the next day at practice?
This might not be the best answer. We just address it. We just say we're going to stare it in the face and confront it. We're going to be honest about it. We're going to watch it on tape. And we just show our guys, win or lose, we're going to show them the good things we did and the things we got to do to get better. So you can learn from winning, you can learn from losing. And the old Vince Lombardi, behind every winner is a loser that didn't like it. I just don't think you're going to win if you shrug off losing. You have to point out, it doesn't matter why, it matters why you lost, but there's a reason. I think every game there's a way to win. Now, obviously, there are extreme examples.
Sure.
But I'm never going to go into a game not thinking I can win it and not thinking there's a way to win it. And we're going to have a plan that we need to do to try to win it. And then we're going to evaluate the outcome on, did we execute these things? And sometimes it may be me looking in the mirror and saying, I needed to do a better job of this or this or this. And I think sometimes we complicate winning. It really comes down to a few simple things. Did we get good shots? Did we value the ball? Did we keep them off the glass? Did we keep them out of transition and give them easy buckets? Did we settle on offense? Did we gamble on defense? There's a lot that goes into all that, but I think sometimes it's just the simple things. So we just show our clips. You weren't in a stance. You weren't ready. You look at this closeout. Look how slow it is. This guy got a rhythm shot. You were off balance in the paint. Just whatever it is that we've been emphasizing with these players and these kids. So that's what we do. We just, you're not going to win if you shrug off losing. And then we have a saying, we have to embrace the productive discomfort that greatness requires. Because no one likes losing, but you're this way, I'm this way. Competitive people, they hate losing more than they love winning. And that may say something about me that's not great, but that's how I'm wired. And I can definitely lose. I've lost plenty of games. I've lost games that were my fault, where I just didn't do a good enough job coaching our team. So there's learning in that. And the scoreboard isn't the final destination in all this, but it is something that we're measuring ourselves by, 2 or 3 times a week. So it is important. And to me, without those games, all this other practice, as much as all basketball, would be pretty mundane and really trivial if we're not having this games that we're applying it to. And all of that is so that we'll give at least a winning effort or a winning preparation for it. And then we just show our guys where we need to get better. And then we're like, let's get back to work. And after a win, we say we get one good meal, and then we're going to concentrate on the next one. You lose, we're going to eat dinner. The next day, we're going to show up and try to prevent that from happening again. And we all know, unless we hold the trophy at the end, our season probably wins on a loss. Or unless we had a mediocre season and we win our last game, but it didn't matter because we didn't make postseason. So losing is a very real, is very real in what we're dealing with. It's probably how most of us are going to end almost every season we coach, unless we're fortunate to win championship. So we have to know we're trying to stave off losing as long as we can. We're trying to eliminate that. We have a sign in our locker room: victory favors the team that makes the fewest mistakes. And that's what it is. We're trying to, what gets us beat, let's eliminate those things. And then we just backtrack from there, and everything we do in practice is geared towards that.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Is it's really cool to hear you talk about after games, what were the things, but then from this conversation we had, it really goes back to the skill work and the ways that you are training your players. That it goes hand in hand. I think that's a great reminder to look at your practices. What things are you doing, or even emphasizing that actually don't keep you from losing, that actually don't help you to win? Take out that fluff and, like you just said, backtrack.
Yeah, begin with the end in mind. That kind of a simple way of looking at things. The other thing that I think is good is just when you're planning your season, you just look at, like, what's it going to take to beat the best team on our schedule? And this is what we're going to need to do. We're all in a league that we kind of know who the team is. It might be our team that's the team to beat that year. What are people going to do to beat us? We kind of scout ourselves. And I just think, like, I've been in some state championship games. I've been the coach who had a big practice plan with too many things on it. I've done all the things wrong that a coach can do. Trust me. But I do think, like, when you've been in those biggest games, you realize it's just the simplicity of execution. It's not these 47 sets that are on my sheet. It's not all these trick plays. It's not all these fancy drills. It's just simply, could we take care of the ball and get a good shot? And on the other end, could we contain it? Could we get it, off the glass when they miss? Could we play without fouling? And I would just find out, like, wow, the biggest game, it just came down to a make or miss shot, or just execution when the game was on the line. And I just think that's I think if we're not careful, we can complicate winning. And winning isn't everything, but I do think it's trying to win, competing to win is what we should be about.
It's Colossians 3:23. It does come back to that. So
yes, for sure.
Coaches, the one thing that every team needs is confident shooters. The last 8 years at Grapevine Faith, our teams have averaged 354 made threes each season. I love getting to share with coaches how our shooters train, and more importantly, how they think. If you would like to enhance your shooting culture at your school, contact me directly at jamodipodcast@gmail.com. Coach, it's time for the speed round. Okay. And this is where we get to know just a little bit more about you as a person. So I'm going to throw out quick questions, and the first thing that comes in your head, you just blurt it out.
All righty.
You ready? Favorite ice cream flavor?
Butter pecan.
For high school, shot clock or no shot clock?
Yes.
Shot clock. I knew it. I knew that. Texting or talking?
Talking.
Favorite holiday?
Christmas.
Favorite NBA player of all time?
Julius Irving, the doctor.
Invisibility or super strength?
Invisibility.
Place you most want to travel?
Israel.
Nice.
Not right now.
Not right now, but 2 more. How many cups of coffee do you drink per day?
2.
Always 2? Consistent?
Well, it's a big cup, so it's probably 4 in it, but I just
counted as 2.
2. Yeah.
And the last one, Godfather or Star Wars?
Oh wow. I'm not a movie person.
That's fair. But if you had to choose,
Braveheart was my favorite. So.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Man, Coach, thank you so much. This was awesome getting to learn from you and hear you teach. And I think I would have loved playing for you.
Well, maybe now, maybe not in the early days. No, I would have loved coaching you. So, Turner Phipps, who played for me. And I love tough, gritty guys and guys who love basketball, high character. So you checked the boxes on all those. So it's been a pleasure to share the game and talk with you. And I'm a big fan and always enjoy being able to engage around the game.
Thank you for checking out today's episode. Please take a moment to subscribe to this podcast, share it with your fellow coaches, and find us on social media for what's coming up next on the Jamodi podcast. It's just a matter of doing it.